Always look forward to speaking with gentlemen. He's a family member now, Professor Andrew Fraknoi. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning. Nice to be with you.
Thank you. Always great to have you. Things going up in the stars, and my first question is, what is a Plutoid?
Yes, this is a new, bizarre name which has been selected by the International Astronomical Union, the sort of UN of astronomy. These are the folks that brought you the demotion of Pluto a couple of years ago.
Right.
Now to make up for it, I remember they reclassified Pluto not as a planet, but as a dwarf planet.
Right.
There was quite an uproar, and people felt that Pluto hadn't been treated right.
And what were your feelings on that at the time?
Well, I was for it in the sense that there were going to be many other planets, and that is, in fact, another piece of news now.
Right.
But now they said, let's take all the planets that are dwarf planets beyond Neptune and call them Plutoids. And that sounds awfully like a disease you don't want to get.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure we're all comfortable with this. It's a nice thing for Pluto that they wanted to make sure that they give a category to it and not just a demotion. But Plutoid sounds like a name picked by someone for whom English is not a first language.
You know what we should call them? We should call them Fraknoids.
Oh, please. Anything but that. But so I don't know if this is going to stick. There was a lot of objection to it, even among people who supported the previous change. So we'll have to see. All the astronomers are meeting next year in Brazil again. There'll be another UN meeting, and no one knows what the ultimate decision will be.
Now, you go to that meeting, right?
Actually, I'm not going to be able to go to that one because I'm teaching, but I think there'll be lots of experts there debating. And indeed, right now, this month in Baltimore, some of the great U.S. experts and some international experts on what planets are and discovering planets are meeting and debating this very question. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that debate.
Now, Professor, there's a lot of Mars activity with Phoenix up there digging around in the dirt and taking pictures and sending back data. The most exciting of which was a couple of weeks back where they finally were able to dig up a piece of ice and put it into its oven so it could melt it and then test it.
Exactly. So this is the background to that story. Mars, billions of years ago, we think was much more like the Earth. It had lakes, rivers. We found some of the lake beds and river beds. And what happened to the water? Well, the air on Mars actually evaporated. It actually sort of blew away into space, in part because Mars is such a pathetic little planet, it couldn't hold on to its air. Either the water went with the air out into space, or as it got colder without the protective blanket of air, apparently the water could have frozen. And there's lots of evidence, indirect evidence from other spacecraft, that there should be an enormous amount of frozen water in the soil of Mars. We know it's got a polar cap, some of which is water, but even into the soil itself. So Phoenix landed in that region just below the polar cap, where we're most likely to find frozen water. It dug down and got a scoop of Mars soil, and that didn't have any water. So it dug a little deeper, and this time we hit pay dirt, or pay water, as you may want to say. And the next deeper scoop had ice in it. We heated it in an oven, analyzed it, and it was really water ice. So we're very happy with that. It's the direct detection of the water we all pretty much expected now would be there.
And this, of course, proves that there are alien-like beings that look very much like pigs walking around on the surface of Mars, right?
Absolutely, and future radio commentators, yes. No, in fact, it's unfortunately so far, there hasn't been a hint of what else we expected to be there, which is perhaps some of the chemical building blocks of life. But the team has actually warned us now officially that that's a lot harder to get, and the analysis has just begun. And we have to wait at least through September, maybe October, before they're going to have final results. So we're all waiting for that, but it's too early to tell.
It sounds, and I don't know anything about it, but with the presence of water and what you're describing was a relatively short period of time before it evaporated or froze or did whatever, for life to take place, doesn't this take millions of years of evolution for life to exist and to build and grow and become what it becomes?
That's a great thought, and I have good news and bad news. The good news is we think that the period where there was liquid water did last about 1 to 2 billion years.
Oh, okay.
So that's good. But the other question we don't know is we don't know on Mars, where gravity was different and conditions were different, how long it would take, if it happened at all, that evolution would lead to life forms that were, significantly sized, that could freeze and their fossils survive. So the evidence, even if life did begin there, the kind of life that would leave evidence of itself, frozen perhaps even deeper in the soil, did that evolve? We'll just have to wait and see.
Now, we have a meteor shower to look forward to, do we not?
We do, August 12th. This is actually called the Perseid meteor shower. It's one of the best. It always happens during the summer when people have more of a tendency to be outdoors. The central date is August 12th. It's best the night and morning of August 12th. But even on the couple of days before August 12th and after August 12th, if you go out to a dark site, you're more likely to see shooting stars. It's a time when the number of shooting stars increases. So I have if I may, Fraknoi's 3 rules for watching shooting stars.
All right.
Number 1, you have to go to a dark place. If you're near where there are city lights, it's not going to work as well.
So, like my basement?
No, it's pretty much outdoors.
Got to be outside. Okay. Okay, good point.
Okay. And then you have to be patient. It's not one of these Batman the Dark Knight super spectaculars. It's a slow thing. You have to allow time for your eyes to adapt to the dark. And the number 3 thing is bring someone with whom you like to sit in the dark. Then you can have the most fun watching shooting stars.
Professor, we have some questions on the phone, if you don't mind. Let's go to Richard.
Good.
Richard,
hey,
you're on the air.
Morning. Good morning, everybody.
Hi.
Hey, thank you, Doctor. I was sitting outside a few nights ago, stargazing. I live up in the high desert, minimum lights, and I saw this flash of light where the yard pretty much lit up, and so I look to the south of me, and I saw this brilliant meteorite. It was like green, then it went to red, and then whatever, and then it's like kind of poof. My question is, what size are those, and do they land, if there's anything left?
Great question, and what you saw is what we call a fireball, which is a slightly larger chunk of material. We made disillusion some people in the listening audience if we say this, but shooting stars are really not stars. They're little pieces of dirt burning up high in the Earth's atmosphere and making a flash of light as they give their lives for our enjoyment.
All right, now, Professor, when you say little pieces of dirt, could you give us an idea of what size this little piece?
They may range anywhere from the size of a grain of sand to a pebble.
Oh, wow, so you really are talking a little piece of dirt.
It's the fact that they go so fast and burn up completely. Now, when a larger chunk, something the size of your fist or the size of, God forbid, your radio, goes through, then it makes a greater flash of light. And the more material, the greater the flash of light. And sometimes you do get these bright fireballs when a larger chunk comes. When a really larger chunk enters the atmosphere, which is rare, then it can't burn up completely and pieces of it land, and we call that a meteorite. And if you go to someplace like Griffith Park and the Griffith Observatory in Griffith Park in Los Angeles, they have on display beautiful examples of chunks of rock, meteorites, that made it completely through the Earth's atmosphere.
Have we learned anything substantial from the meteorites that have landed on this planet throughout the years?
Absolutely. One of my most exciting astronomical results is we found in the meteorite amino acids. Amino acids being the building blocks of proteins and one of the fundamental building blocks of life. Now, you might say, well, these amino acids, there's the fingerprints of the astronomers that got the amino acids onto the rock. What's the big deal about that? But it turns out to be amino acids with a chemical structure we don't find on Earth.
All right.
So that means we don't think this came from life, but from the natural processes leading to life elsewhere, and there they are in a chunk of rock flying through space. That's really quite an amazing result, and one of the things that makes us more optimistic that there might one day be the discovery of Mark and Brian listeners elsewhere.
And they all look like pigs walking around Mars. Ken, you're on.
You said that.
Ken, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Mark Brian.
Hey, man.
Hey, Professor, you said something earlier that there was air on Mars and it disappeared.
Yeah.
So what's going to keep that from happening on Earth?
Well, the good news is that we have a lot more gravity on Earth. So Earth has so far done very well in holding on to its air. The bad news is we're poisoning that air, so who wants it? But in the long run, we do have enough gravity so that we can hold on to the air that we have.
Professor, there we get a text that tells us to ask you this question. Maybe this is something we've not yet heard about, but it says, ask him about the seashells on Mars. Is there anything to that?
No.
But when you put one to your ear, you can hear the ocean. And this text also, this is kind of interesting. When you see shooting stars, can sometimes it be space debris?
Well, yes, it can, in the sense that there is quite a bit of human material up in space, and some of those satellites have actually disintegrated as they came into the Earth's atmosphere and could be burning up, but the vast, vast majority is natural. We live in a dirty solar system.
Keith, you're on the air with Professor Fraknoi.
Professor, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Real fine, sir. A couple weeks ago, I watched a show, I believe it was on Discovery Channel, and it was talking about the origin of Earth and how the moon affected that. And it was saying that early on the moon was very close to the Earth, and the Earth was spinning very rapidly. And then gradually the moon has moved away, and it's traveling at about an inch a year away from our planet. And in so doing is slowing the revolution of the Earth. And I'm thinking, the way they were talking about this on the show, is this is causing the Earth to warm up. So eventually the moon will no longer be influenced by the Earth's gravity and could go off on its own. The Earth would slowly grind to a halt. Am I on the right track with that?
I followed you almost to the end. You were right until you got to the conclusions. This is actually true, and we have good evidence for this now, that the moon wasn't that close to the Earth, but it was closer when it formed, and the two kind of have a cosmic ballet where they're dancing through space together. And it is absolutely true that the moon is very, very, very slowly moving away from the Earth, taking some of the motion energy of the Earth, and you said revolution, and I think you meant rotation. The spin of the Earth is slowing down. So the month is getting longer as the moon gets further away, and the day is getting longer on Earth. Someday that will stabilize. We're not going to lose the moon, but we will stabilize to a point where the month and the day will be the same length. This is very bizarre. It happened, for example, to Pluto and Pluto's moon, but this has nothing to do with warming.
You're saying that at the end of that cycle,
which is millions and millions and millions of years.
But at the end of that, all of our days will be the exact same length?
As the month, and all our days and months will be the same length. And if you want to see that, go to Pluto, where the moon is actually doing this. The time it takes for Pluto to spin once, and the time it takes for Pluto's big moon to go around Pluto is exactly the same length. And what that means is that Pluto's moon hovers over one spot on Pluto where you can always see the moon, and if you're on the other side of Pluto, you can never see the moon, and that, of course, affects real estate prices.
Yeah, you would think, yeah. So a day could be a month, and a month could be a day.
There you go.
So
all about this too much, it's gonna throw off your whole day.
Well, I'm just thinking all our wives and girlfriends are gonna go through that time of the day.
Yeah, you don't want that.
I don't want to go there at all. Thank you.
Now, Professor, I don't think of all the times we've talked to you, we've never had one of your former students call, and we have Ed on 13. He says he's a former student of yours. Ed, go ahead.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Professor.
Good morning.
I remember you from way back in the early 70s at Kenyatta College.
Wow, yes indeed.
The professor's class was one of the most popular classes on campus. However, in the 70s, everybody thought it was an astrology class.
Did that happen, Professor?
Oh, a few people actually did. That's true. People were very disappointed when I announced that we're going to talk about telescopes and not horoscopes.
So the professor was known to occasionally frequent the peanut farm on Friday afternoons.
What is the peanut farm?
It was a watering hole right below the campus, an old divey place where every staff and students would go on Friday afternoons.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Well, that was the college I thought. Before I started teaching at Foothill College, where I teach now, south of San Francisco, I did teach at another college called Kenyatta College, so it's nice that you remember.
Oh, I do. And the professor never did participate in the Spring Festival green leafy vegetable matter rolling contest. He was much above that.
You would think, yes.
As he still is.
It was nice talking to you, Professor.
All right, thanks for calling.
Well, we touched on some really interesting stuff today, and it does boggle the mind, some of the things you brought up. But how much longer is the Phoenix going to be able to function on the surface of Mars?
Well, we don't know that. They've just extended the mission through the end of September. I think that happened yesterday, and so we'll just have to see how long it lasts and how long the very intense team communication. It's very expensive to communicate on a regular basis with these missions and to operate the very complex robot machinery inside. So we're of course, astronomers hope for quite a while still, but the rovers are still going, and they're way beyond their assigned mission. So we'll keep our fingers crossed.
How is your summer going, Professor?
It's going great. It's going great. We should perhaps just mention really quickly the other story, which is a Southern California story that a team of astronomers headed by Mike Brown at Caltech have announced another planet now beyond Pluto, beyond Eris, and they're calling it Makemake. Now that's quite a name. It's a fertility god on Easter Island, and the reason they chose this is because their code name for this planet had been Easter Bunny. So they wanted to be Easter. They have one other planet called Santa, which is not yet approved, but Easter Bunny is now an official planet called Makemake, and so that's how they kept the word Easter in the name, by naming it after the creator spirit of the people of Easter Island. So there is now an 11th planet out there, maybe 12th, depending on how you count the biggest asteroid.
And this is a real planet, not a dwarf planet?
It's a dwarf planet. No, it's a dwarf planet, and it's written make, but it's pronounced Makemake, and it's an interesting world. It takes about 310 years, Earth years, to orbit the sun, and the surface temperature is minus 406 Fahrenheit. So bring your parka if you visit.
Professor, as things move along, we learn, when we were growing up as kids, we were taught that there's 9 planets and there were historical facts that we were given. And now, you tell us that Pluto's not a planet, and then there's a bunch of other planets. But would you not agree that everything we were taught in school as kids was wrong and that all of our teachers were idiots?
Well, as a teacher, that would be a very difficult thing for me to admit.
Conflict of interest.
Let's put it more positively. Astronomy, one of the great joys of our science, is that there's constant change. I always like to tell my students, science, and especially astronomy, is a progress report. And you have to stay tuned, as you do on the radio, and see what happens tomorrow.
Professor, it's always such a blast to talk with you. You kind of clear it all out for us, and we do so very much appreciate your time. And please continue enjoying your summer.
Thank you, and the same to you and all your listeners.
Thank you.
See you soon.
See you, Professor.